Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you breaking news on the Rise of Kyoshi Chapter 1 review. Now, so to sum up everything that has happened in Chapter 1 of this novel is to say that they lost the Avatar. Well, what do I mean by that? I don't mean that they lost the Avatar in the sense of what happened with Aang back in The Last Airbender. No, the Air Nomads knew who Aang was, and then he ran away, and then they could never find him again. What I mean regarding the Rise of Kyoshi is that the Earth Kingdom, in the entire world for that matter, don't even know who Kyoshi is. They don't know that she's the next Avatar. They don't know that she exists. Well, how can this be? So, in Chapter 1 of the Rise of Kyoshi, we found out something that I find very interesting, and that is the method that the Earth Kingdom uses in identifying who the next Avatar is in the cycle. The cycle goes Fire Nation, Air Nomads, Water Tribe, Earth Kingdom, then it goes right back to Fire Nation to start the cycle all over again. If you remember back in The Last Airbender, we actually saw the method that the Air Nomads use in order to identify their Air Avatar. And I believe it was with the flashbacks with MW2 telling Aang that Aang would be the next Avatar when he was at the age of 12. Aang pushes back at MW2 and says, "How do you know that I'm the Avatar? It could be anybody." And that's when MW2 gives like a brief explanation about what the technique was that is used for the Air Nomads in order to identify the Avatar, and that's with the toy test. Now, in Chapter 1, we find out that in order for an airbender to be classified as the Avatar, they have to pick 4 toys from their past Avatar lives out of thousands of toys. So Aang picked those 4 toys out of thousands. It's almost impossible to do that at random. Is it possible? Yes. But we also find out that in Chapter 1 that these tests have never failed before. The fact that they can't find Kyoshi is mind-boggling, and it actually causes a lot of friction and strife between the tribes, because each tribe is blaming the other for potentially doing something to upset the balance of the Avatar cycle, and a lot of the blame is falling on the Earth Kingdom in order to find Kyoshi. But keep in mind, they don't know who Kyoshi is. We, the readers, know it's Kyoshi, obviously, from The Last Airbender, and obviously it is the Rise of Kyoshi. It's her story. Regardless, we find out that the Earth Kingdom uses a technique called directional geomancy, in which they take bones, I'm assuming is from past avatars, and each of the major kingdoms within the Earth Kingdom, the kings and queens I mean, so they use it to eliminate kingdoms rather than to locate the Avatar. But once they've eliminated all the possibilities of where the Avatar can't be, that's when they start using it to narrow it down and narrow it down and narrow it down, and it basically brings them to the doorstep of the Avatar. And then that's when, you know, they take him under protection, or her under protection, in this case Kyoshi, and they'll start training them at the age of 16. Well, the problem with this is that they can't locate Kyoshi. The directional geomancy ritual that they're doing is taking them everywhere but where the Avatar is. It's taking them to the tunnels under Ba Sing Se. It's taking them to the desert where the sandbenders were. It's taking them all over the place. I think it took them to the coast at one point, but the test isn't working. So, like I said earlier, all the heads of the the nations and the tribes in different countries, they come together and they're trying to figure out what to do. But the Earth Kingdom doesn't want to receive help from the Water Tribe, the Air Nomads, or the Fire Nation. Oh yeah, I think that's important to note in this book. This is well before the Fire Nation attacked, that we know from the plotline of The Last Airbender. So the Fire Nation people are still good with everybody at this point. Maybe not good. It doesn't seem like anybody's really good, but regardless, there is peace amongst the lands, minus the riffraff that'll come here or there. So we never actually got a showing of what the Fire Nation does or the Water Tribe does in order to determine their Avatar in the cycle. We could have had that moment with the Legend of Korra, but they wanted to write in the fact that she could bend 3 elements from the age of 5, so there was no need to do the test. But it would have been interesting to see. I really think they dropped the ball with that case. I am curious about what the Water Tribe and the Fire Nation does in these regards of trying to identify who the Avatar is for them. Now, after all of this happened, they still don't know who Kyoshi is, but this takes us to the start of the chapter. I really just wanted to get all of that out the way. I wanted to talk about that the most because I found that the most interesting, and that's kind of how I do my chapter reviews. I talk about what's most interesting first, and then it'll all come together as I review the chapter as a whole. It'll all come together. Now, this takes us to the start of the chapter, 7 years after the death of the previous Avatar, Avatar Kuruk. The story kicks off with our 2 main characters for this chapter, Zhang Shu and Kelsang. Zhang Shu is an earthbender, Kelsang is the airbender. They go to this island or this area called the Whaletail Strait in the middle of winter, and their whole purpose for being there is so that they can set up the tests in order to find the Earth Avatar. The reason that they're out the Whaletail Strait is because it's the one body of land that intersects the Earth Kingdom, the Water Tribe, and the Air Nomad, territory. The second reason that they're there is because nobody else knows that they're there in order to try to find the Avatar. Remember what I said earlier, the Earth Kingdom doesn't want help. Zhang Shu and Kelsang were friends of the previous Avatar, Avatar Karuk. Avatar Karuk asked them to take care of the new Avatar once the time came. Because Zhang Shu is an earthbender and he's a high-ranking earthbender, it makes complete sense that he is able to fulfill these wishes, but they had to go outside of the normal means in order to locate the current Avatar. Well, what do I mean by that? I mean that this is the first time in history that another country's avatar test will be used to find an avatar that's not their avatar. So Kelsang, being an airbender, is going to administer the airbending test to the Earth Kingdom children in order to find the Earth Avatar, Kyoshi. Now, once they start the test, it goes to complete shambles, all right? Because the whole point of the test is allowing the kids to pick 4 toys with the thought that they can keep the toys once they pick them, right? It's an innocent test. The problem is that once they're not the avatar, Kelsang has to take the toys back because you can't let them take the toys, because by the time you get to the end, it might only be 20 toys left for them to choose from, and it's much easier to pick 4 toys at random out of 20 versus out of 1,000. So it was a lot of back and forth with kids crying and getting mad, and the parents crying and getting mad because, one, you're upsetting their child and they have to deal with them, and 2, they're upset that their child is not the avatar, this big saving grace that's meant to save the world, and all of that nonsense. So we get down to the very last person. We never got the father's name, but he is a father and he has a daughter. His daughter's name is Suzu. The father is like, what do I get if Suzu's the avatar? And then Zhang Shu was like, you don't get anything. Why would I pay you for your daughter being the avatar? And the father's like, oh, it's not a paid gig? Well, I guess we're going to go home then. He doesn't care if his daughter is the avatar or not. He just wants money. So while they're having this conversation, Suzu had already picked one of the previous avatar's toys. And Kelsang notices this, and he was like, hold on, Zhang Shu, like, keep him talking because she's already picked one. This is the closest we've been all day. We need to see where this goes. So Zhang Shu asks the man, well, what do you want? And he's like, well, if my daughter's the avatar, I want 60 gold a year. And he was like, 60 gold a year? And then the father's like, that's if she is the avatar. If she's not the avatar, I want 10 gold a year. Zhang Shu loses it. He's like, why would I pay you if your daughter is not the avatar? Now, while this part of the conversation is going on, Suzu picks a second toy correctly. Now, keep in mind, Kelsang's about to lose his shit. Zhang Shu sees this and was like, okay, fine, deal. But just as all of that is happening, she just stomps on the other toys and picks something randomly, and she's not the avatar. So Suzu leaves, her father leaves, and just as they're leaving, Zhang Shu is like, hey, you forgot your other daughter, and that's when the father's like, she's not mine, she's not anybody. This rather tall, large-footed, quiet girl is lurking in the background. Y'all should already know by this point of the review. I'm clearly talking about Kyoshi, ladies and gentlemen. Kyoshi is an orphan. Now, once I read this, it rose a lot of questions for me because I was like, well, what does her being an orphan have to do with the Earth Kingdom not being able to locate her? You see what I'm saying? It's a test that is meant to locate the Earth Avatar. And I understand that they're on neutral, ground, neutral territory, but I wouldn't imagine that the test is that archaic to where it only searches the Earth Kingdom and no further. That would make no sense. And especially considering that Earth Kingdom children and families live in this area, you would imagine that it would stretch as far as it is. But that's not the case, because what is making Kyoshi so special that she can't be located? And I hope that that question is answered further down the road in this book, because I desperately need to know. Regardless, Zhang Shu and Kelsang, they notice her, and they're like, okay, we'll invite her over to take the test. And while Zhang Shu is putting on the charm, trying to, coach her out of her shell and over to them, she is naturally defensive of these two, and she doesn't want to engage them at all. But she is a child, and she's curious of the toys. She would be 7 at this point. And, I'm also curious about what happened to her parents. But, she's 7. She sees all those toys. She wants the toys, but she's naturally cautious about these 2 strangers that she's never met. So much, in fact, she barely gives them her name. She does eventually. she says Kyoshi, so we do get confirmation that this is Kyoshi. But once they offer her to, you know, take one of the toys, she doesn't make a move until she sees them blink. And then once she blinks, she goes Assassin's Creed type movements, swivels around them, grabs a toy, and ducks off. What's curious about this is that she did pick one of the previous Avatar's toys. Now, as the reader, it's kind of anticlimactic because we know that Kyoshi is the Avatar, so it's like no surprise to us. Okay, yeah, but you have to look at it from the lens of Kelsang and Jiang Shu. It's either one, this is completely random, which is a possibility. You have to take that into account, which is why they have to pick 4 toys and not just 1 or 2. Or 2, this could be the start of her being the Avatar, and the fact that she ran off with a clay turtle, that left Kelsang eager but also like saddened, because he was like, well, now I gotta explain how we just lost one of an Avatar's old relics and we'll never see it again. And then what if it actually meant something? So that sums up everything that has happened in chapter 1 of The Rise of Kyoshi, ladies and gentlemen. If you made it to the end, thank you for rocking with me. Go plus ultra and smash the subscribe button. It lets me know you rock with the content that I put out on this channel. I will have chapter 2 out very shortly, because this is a story that I want to definitely keep up with, and I want everybody to know what happened with Kyoshi's story. I want y'all to leave in the comment section what y'all think is going down with Kyoshi and why she was off of the radar of the Earth Kingdom. I don't know. Maybe Kyoshi is more special than we think, or that what we previously known about her. I think the biggest fact that we knew about her is that she created Kyoshi Island, but we don't know when that happened either. Is Kyoshi Island really Whaletail Strait? Possibly. We know that she is the oldest living Avatar ever. I don't remember how old she lived to, but yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. Like the video, share the video, comment on the video, all that fancy stuff, and like always, keep it safe and wrap it tight. I'm out.